And when I spoke to his brother, Dylan, he told me, he said, listen, I don't know why you gave him money. He says he has money. He's doing that because he wants to feel bad about him.
Now, what happened with Dylan? Why did he leave?
Those two could never get along. And then when Jessica came along, and Jay got arrested, Jessica took Jay's phone, and Dylan was like, no, I'm his brother. I need to have his phone. And she was like, oh, I don't care who you are. She was like, I'm his girlfriend. They want to open up a bail bonds agency, Metro State Bail Bonds. That's another thing. He did mention to me that recently. He said, if the sheriff's office asks you about that day, tell them that me and him were across town. Who's smarter, you or Jay? Me.
You talked about he alters videos. Did he tell you he wanted you to make the video so it made Vidler look bad?
Yes, he said his words exactly. He stated that he wanted to make the video like this so he could bring it to internal affairs and we could make a report against Vidler because what Vidler was doing was harassment.
Do you know, has he ever had you assist him in altering any videos that he was going to court for a ticket?
Yes, I have. A lot of videos where he would want me to cut the video out at a certain point, him doing illegal stuff, and him showing that there was a junior high school going by the light. The police said that this is the full video, this is the only full video, and that the gas cam stopped working. We recently the course and had me delete the other footage, the original video, and made sure that it was deleted.
Hello, this is a free call from
me,
an inmate at the Orange County Correction. To accept this call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording.
Hey.
Listen, where's your phone? Because I just checked the GPS and it says it's at your office now.
They're at my office. Oh my God, they're at my office.
That detail. Wow. Sorry about that. So what you were saying? No. So basically, so you did get paid from Jeremy for that. Yeah. Okay. All right. And you were directed to go out there by Jeremy and to work for Metro State. Yeah. The Metro State. And he said that Connie added a text between him. Yeah. But I asked him for proof of not being on them. Okay. Right. Yeah. All right, John. Go ahead.
So, Victor, you knew that you're going out there to perform security duties, correct?
Well, to my knowledge, yes. He told me it was for parking, but obviously I knew what it really was.
That's code word for him if you get stopped by law enforcement.
For security. Yeah, I knew that.
Okay.
So, like I told you, obviously I know the difference being contract and 1099. Obviously, we're not 1099. So that's why he paid me through check, like he always does, company check.
Right.
And supposedly that's payroll to him. Because every time I go to Amscott, they're like, oh, it's a payroll check. And I'm like, no, it's a company check. It's through Wells Fargo. And they're like, oh, well, what are you receiving this check for? And I called Jay when they said, listen, I said, they're asking me, what am I getting a check? He's like, well, just put on the memo, either you're washing cars or you're setting up cameras for me so that no questions will be asked. Why are you getting a check and you're not filing taxes?
Okay. How many escorts do you do on average a week?
Average a week, be honest, sometimes it ranges, but like the last, I have it on my phone. The last Saturday I did one escort. That's when we got Metro Orange County, and that day I was nervous. I didn't want to do any more. The last week before that I did a Saturday, and the last week before that I did $300 in escorts. That was about 7 to 8 escorts. Hey, John, I'm gonna walk out. I gotta use the restroom real quick.
Okay.
I'll be right back. So I did about 7 to 8 escorts on a day. Not on a day, on a week. So that equals about $300. And then the last three days before that Saturday, I did them for free because I told them, I said, listen, I'm not going to charge you $50. I'm not going to charge you $100. I said because I feel bad for you. What's going on? And he was like, oh, thank you. If you need anything, let me know. And when I do get money, I'll pay you back. I said, no. I said, it's okay. I said, you're dealing with a lot. I said, don't pay me. It's okay. Don't pay me for those 3 escorts.
Okay. And now let's talk about your uniforms. You've been with him for about 4 years, you said, off and on.
Yeah.
Okay. Why? I already know the answer to this, and I know you do. Why do you wear the uniforms that you wear?
Because he wants us to be like police officers. He wants us to gain the respect and to look like law enforcement so people can treat us the same as them. So if we go into an intersection and he tells us to, because like when he tells us stop shopping, he would tell us to get out of our vehicle and raise both of our hands up. So he's like, when we do that, he's like, if we're in uniform, he says they're going to think we're cops. Most people are going to think we're cops, some people know we're not cops. So that's what it is. And like when he gave me a vest and I wore a vest, he said you can't wear a vest with a duty belt on your side. I said, why not? He said, do you see the sheriff's office wearing a vest with a duty belt on the side? I said, yeah, sometimes I do. He goes, okay, well that's the low life. He said, well, if you look at TAC, they wear the gun holster on the side of their leg. And I was like, okay. And he gave me a gun holster for my side leg and said, this is how you're supposed to wear it. He said, if you're gonna wear a vest, you need to wear a gun holster on your side. And I was like, okay. And then even when I wore shorts, he said I wore my gun holster on my leg. He said, no, cops don't do that. He said, if you wear shorts, you wear it on your side, and you do not wear your vest.
Okay. So, who picks out the uniforms?
Jay does, and he brings it to Design Lab, right there by the jail, or he brings it to Gals, right over there on Lake Underhill, and he brings the patches in and they design the shirt. And most of the time, the people that does that is Randall Grosh's. He'll be the one to go to Gals and order the T-shirt.
Okay, and Randall is the one we arrested with the gun.
The 1911. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here's the next thing. Well, let me ask you. You've seen the uniform, and you've been around law enforcement, correct?
Yeah.
Do you think that the uniform that you wear, like the dress, your dress blues for like when you do military or law enforcement or firefighter, whatever escort you do?
Yeah, military we wear Class A, and I'm not gonna lie. Yes, we do look like cops. And when I've been to the Deborah Clayton, a lot of cops are like, "Oh, what agency you're with?" Yeah, they're like, "What agency you're with?" And I'm like, "I'm with Metro State." And they're like, "What's that?" "Oh, we're a funeral escort company." So, like the green shirts, that's a 9A probation, Penn, or I'm forgetting the real name. Yeah. So this is I'm showing the Class. That's Steven. That's the Class B. That's a Class B or Class A? Class A is the long sleeve. Class B is the short sleeve. Short sleeve. And what is this gray shirt? Only him and Andrew have that, but that's the polo shirts. I forget what material it is. Okay. But we get the shitty ones, the ones that are those. But he gets those types because they look more professional for him. Oh, I see. So yeah, there is a difference. Yeah, because he has his is like yours. Ours is kind of like a cheap T-shirt. Oh, yeah, like a cheap. Okay, I see. Yeah. All right. And I was there that day also, by the way. I was the one that took the picture. I think. Let me see that again. No, you and Repo are missing in the picture. No, what? Actually, where was this at? It looks like no. This is the Rock and Brew. It's the Rock and Brew picture before the motorcycle escort. No, I probably wasn't there. I don't know. Can't remember that day. Yeah, if I remember right, that you and Repo were the only two missing from the photo. Yeah. And I know sometimes when we have charter events, I bring my camera and I take pictures for him. So I was thinking maybe am I the one that took the picture? But I can't remember. And then Rock and Brew. Was that the one recently? Yeah. Rock and Brew? Yeah, just recently. With the charter event that they went to Osceola and all that. Yeah, I was there that day. Yeah. You were there and Rico was also there.
You all came late. You were on another escort and you came late, correct?
Yeah, that's what we came late. Yeah. No. We had I had U-Haul because at that time we were at the Lee Road office and I worked for U-Haul for him. And I stood at the office that day because there was a U-Haul coming and Repo was just getting there in the tow truck and he was like, "Oh, where's everybody else? They're a Rock and Brew." He's like, "Are we meeting them there?" I said, "Yeah." And I stood at the office for about an hour and I called the U-Haul lady. I said, "Hey, where are you?" "Oh, we're going to be an hour late." I called Jay. He said, "Listen, stay there for 31 minutes. If they don't get here," he said, "haul ass and get to me." I stood there for 30 minutes later, and the U-Haul lady never came, and that's when I rushed over there.
Okay. All right, let me ask you, because I already know the answer to this, and you know it too, to be correct. We know Jeremy has guns, real guns. Have you ever seen him out working and carrying a real gun with him?
For the monsters, I've seen him carry his pepper ball gun. I know other officers, they do carry their guns. Obviously, I don't have a gun. I've never carried one.
Okay, so wait. When you say gun, you say pepper ball gun, and then you say they carry guns. Distinguish between the two.
Alan Smith, he's carried his Glock before. Randall's carried his Glock. Steven has never carried his gun because he didn't have his G license at the time. Everything was being suspended because of his whole Orange County thing. He had his pepper ball. but a couple employees did have their guns on him, and sometimes they had it under their inside their motorcycle basket, or some of them had it in their holster. Like old employees, there was a short Spanish guy, and he had his Glock on a level 3 holster, and obviously he was security, but he had his gun on all the time. But honestly, I've never seen Jay with a gun. I've always seen him wear a pepper gun. I know he wears it out in public all the time when he goes to Starbucks. He wears his jeans, his Metro State T-shirt, and he wears his pepper gun on the side and walks into businesses. I've seen that at Target.
Well, why does he do that? Does he want them to think he's a cop?
I would think so, because I've seen him in track plant.
He wears his gun in his...
Yeah, his gun and his badge and his Metro State T-shirt. He walks in public. I've seen him in Target one time. One time I was day out of work, and I walked in Target with my girlfriend, and I was like, oh, look, Jay's here. And he had his gun, his badge, and his Metro State T-shirt on top. And I was like, oh. But he said pepperball guns, he says, are technically, they're legal for self-defense purposes. I was never that stupid to carry one out in public, because you will get stopped no matter what. If you look at the gun.
So you've never seen any of Jeremy's actual guns?
No, I've been in his inventory before, and most of them I've seen is all pepperball or BB guns.
Okay. Have you ever seen like an M4 or any rifles that he carries or has had?
Yeah, at the old office at OBT and Shader, he had a container that was mainly airsoft, and I've seen some look-alike M4s in there, and I've took them out before, and they're actually like airsoft guns.
Okay, so he just has them to look like they're real rifles?
To look like, because yes, the orange tip is either spray painted or it's shaved off.
Okay.
So I asked him, I said, what's this container? He's like, oh, it's my airsoft, or he was supposedly say it's military helmet. And I'm like, oh, okay. So there was some M4s, MP5s, there was pistols in there, there was, the BB guns were inside of the holsters, he had military fatigues in there, and it was all in a separate basket. And that basket now is not in the new office, it's not there anymore.
Okay. Hold on a second, let me write that down. All right, I'm going to ask you, were you with him when you all went to Denny's?
Denny's. Give me a second. Denny's.
This was a couple of weeks ago out in Ocoee. There's a restaurant called Denny's.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Not that I'm aware of.
You were not on that escort with him?
I'm being honest, not that I'm aware of. I was at Denny's. I don't think I know we've been to Ale House before, and Gators, but I don't think I ever went to Denny's.
Okay, let me ask you a question real quick. When you guys go out to Ale House or Gators or any of those things,
does he have actually a discount? Yeah, he does. He flashes his badge. He's got a badge. I've been to Chick-fil-A with him, and he's like, oh, you guys offer a police discount? And he'll flash his Metro State badge and put it right back. And this was 2.5 years ago when our old Charger got ripped, and we went to the tow yard all the way out in, I think, Groveland, and went to Chick-fil-A there, and he flashed out his badge, and I looked at him, and I looked at Steven, I was like, okay, I ain't gonna say nothing. But most times when we go to Ale House, so I'll ask him, do you offer police discount? And he'll flash his Metro State badge. And I know he has Metro State badges that say detective. There's one that says police officer, one that says sergeant, one that says lieutenant, and they're all LAPD badges. I don't know if they're in the new office, but this was back at the old office at OBT and Shader.
Yeah, now have you ever noticed that your screen printed badge on your shirts resemble LAPD?
Yeah, LAPD. He said he wants to look just like LAPD. Black and white.
Is that why he does the black and white?
Black and white on LAPD, yeah. Okay. All right, he wants to look like LAPD.
And that would explain why his uniforms, like your dress blue, your class, or your B or your A.
Look like LAPD. Yeah.
The patches are sewed on the same way. The patches are the same size. So for the motor guys, the motor wings are on either side. That's exactly how Los Angeles does it, right? Or LAPD.
Yeah. I would guess so. Yeah, but I know everything in his office is LAPD, Los Angeles, because they have their motors. That's why he said he bought BMWs, because LAPD has them.
Right. Okay. All right. And so you don't know about the incident at Denny's then?
No, I honestly, I really don't. I'm being completely honest. I don't remember a day of me being at Denny's.
Let me just check the battery life on this.
Okay. Yeah, there's no battery. Okay. Good. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, I'm checking off stuff here. Does he require anybody to contribute any money into his business to help him out when he's not doing well?
Yes, he did actually. When we had a meeting the other day at Florida Mall, he explained to us everything, and he said, "Listen, I'm going through a tough time. Can anyone donate me any money?" Obviously, I felt bad for him. I gave him a $20 bill because he said he didn't have money for gas for the cars. And honestly, I'm a nice guy. If someone's suffering, I'll give him money. Even though I'm suffering, I gave him $20. Steven gave him $10. Someone else gave him $5. And when I spoke to his brother Dylan, because he was on the landscaping business, he told me, he said, "Listen, I don't know why you gave him money." He says he has money. He's doing that because he wants extra money to feel bad, and he wants to feel bad about him.
Now, what happened with Dylan? Why did he leave?
Dylan left because they used to argue a lot. During escorts, they would go back and forth arguing, yelling the F words, because those two could never get along. And then when Jessica came along, and Jay got arrested, the day that Jay got arrested, Jessica took Jay's phone, and Dylan was like, "No, I'm his brother. I need to have his phone." And she was like, "Oh, I don't care who you are." She was like, "I'm his girlfriend. I'm in control of the business now," even though her name really wasn't part of it. But Dylan's name was. But Dylan left because he said that he couldn't handle the stress with Jessica being there, and the fact that they argue so much. And he opened up his own landscape business, so that he's been doing that. And I work with him sometimes doing landscaping now, once in a while. And every time I mention Metro, I'm like, "Yeah, Jessica's not there," and he gets mad to hear the fact that Jay's doing this to us. Like I told him, I said, he owes me $600, and he's like, "Dog," he's like, "That's what pisses me off." He's like, "Because my brother did the same thing to me. He owes me money, and he didn't pay me. And to this day, he still owes me $1,000. He never paid me, and I'm his brother."
So, is Jess still involved?
I know she's involved with the ambulance stuff, but I know she's been working supposedly at some bail bonds office. She's been interning because they want to open up a bail bonds agency, Metro State Bail Bonds, and that's why she's interning. But I don't know where. I know she's interning somewhere by the jail, but I haven't seen her at the office. Like the other day, Jay's wife called me, and I was like, I don't know the number was. She left me a voice. She said, "Hey, it's me, Rania. Can you call me?" And I was like, "Okay, why his wife called me?" His wife called me and said, "Hey, do you know Jessica being around?" She's like, "I know you're a young kid. You're real honest." She's like, "I really want to know." And I said, honestly, I know Jay used to talk to her a while ago. I said, I haven't seen her at the office, and I knew Jay was in the background because I heard him in the background. And I don't know if maybe they were testing me, but she started crying and she started cursing at him. And I've never seen Jess. It's been a while since I've seen Jess. And my attorney back then, Jay had me. I used to live in Old Cheney Highway, and Jay had me park an ambulance there, and it's just a red and white ambulance with paint all over and damage. He had me park it there, and my attorney said, "Listen, you need to get rid of the ambulance." I said, "I've been trying to get a hold of him, and my landlord, currently I don't live there anymore. My landlord's like, "Listen, either I'm going to tow it this week or you get it out." I said, "Do what you got to do." I said, because he does not want this ambulance. So I called Jessica. I said, "Jessica," I said, "I got an ambulance at my house. He wants me to store it here." I said, "I already moved out the house." I said, "What do you want me to do?" She goes, "I don't give a F because I don't talk to that guy anymore. I have nothing to do with the ambulance anymore." She said, "Call his wife or call him." She said, "Because I'm done with it."
So what happened to the ambulance?
It's still sitting at my house.
Let me ask you, when she says she doesn't have anything to do with him anymore, was that on or about like November 1st or 2nd?
That was
like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I called her. And the reason I was saying that Jay was in jail. Jay was in jail, I think.
Okay.
So she said she wanted to do it, and I told my landlord, I said, "Do what you got to do."
The only reason I'm saying that, just to put on the record, is we noticed on Sundays she took herself off.
Yeah, that's what he told me the other day. He said, I said, "Why don't you sell the ambulance?" He's like, "I can't because Jess has partnership." And other employees were like, "Oh, well, forget what she said. She's gone." And he's like, "Oh, well, she supposedly took off now, so she's not part of it no more."
Okay.
So the only person that's still part of it is Mike?
Is Mike, Jay, and his wife. His wife's about to sign on to the business soon.
Okay. So
because there's
go ahead.
There's an employee named Star Yukon. She actually affiliates with the wife. She talks to the wife a lot. I met with her the other day. I go to her house sometimes. and she told me that that Jay's wife is about to become partnership with the ambulance business, and they want to take over. So basically, Jay and his wife are now going to try to invest money into it and start up this ambulance company.
Gotcha. Okay. And how much did Mike put into it? Do you know?
Oh, not that I know of, no.
But
I know it costs a lot of money though. I've seen the insurance bills. I've seen the equipment cost for everything. And I know Jay don't got a lot of money for that. But I know Dr. Rivera. I know he's helping out with the contract. But my guy, I know, like Jay said that day of the grand opening, he said this guy right here is the reason why we're starting up the ambulance business.
Okay, so let me ask you, how much, when you say it costs a lot of money, what's a lot of money?
I think the ambulance insurance bill is $20,000 a month for the 2 ambulances that he has currently. And then he said he paid about $9,000 for each ambulance. The stretcher he paid $12,000 because back when I said when I sell stuff on eBay, I've seen his purchase history, and most of the stuff he's purchased is the stuff, and he gets everything off of governmentdeals.com. And he buys everything off there. These AEDs and these stretchers and these lights, he's paid lots of money for these things. And I'm surprised that he's got this money, but he don't got the money to pay employees.
Right.
But it's true. The ambulance business alone is almost $1 million to open up. I looked up, did my research for AMR. It's almost $13 million for them to open up a business. I know Jay don't got $1 million. So obviously he's getting help somehow.
And you don't know where he's getting it from?
Not that I know of. No, like I said, the Mike guy today that I met him at the grand opening, he said that this is the reason why we're opening the business, because of this guy right here. And that's what I met him that day. It was him, Dr. Rivera, Dr. Rivera's daughter, and then the Mike guy.
Okay. And all those files and records, those things were in his computer as well?
In his computer, or they're on his email. Most of them are on his email. I know recently, when I went to the office, he deleted a lot off his email. Because he used to have 1,000 inbox messages, and they were all on red. And all of a sudden, now they're all gone. Everything's gone.
How long ago was that?
This was recently, maybe like a week ago. What's his email? Metro State VPU at Gmail, Metro State ESU at Gmail. Oh, he's got a bunch. There's a shit ton. Sorry for my French. There's a lot of emails from Metro State.
Was that before or after we arrested him?
After you arrested him, and he bonded out, and he went back to the office.
So it was after we did the search warrant on his office?
Yeah.
What did he say about when we did the search warrant?
He didn't really say nothing. I know I went to the office when he was there, because I think we had escorts that day, and he was like, "Oh, they took everything." He said they took the body cameras, they took the cameras. He said we can't do escorts, and he was like, "I think it's a setup." He said because why would they take the dash cameras and leave only 2 cameras? Because I guess they left 2 cameras there, two motorcycle cameras, and I was like, "Well, I don't know." And he was like, "Well, I think it's a setup." He was like, "I had to look around the office," and he started going crazy. He started looking around the office, looking for little cameras everywhere. He was looking under cars. He started looking underneath the ambulances to check if there was any GPS tracking, any cameras anywhere. But that day that he went back to office, he was going nuts. And I know he took pictures of the office too and sent to his attorney and said that they went through stuff that wasn't on the warrant.
Like what?
Like I know he said the filing cabinet. He said there was stuff in there that was missing, and he said it looked like stuff that was rummaged through. And he said when he looked at the warrant, he said it was mainly for the body cameras, removable storage. But then again, I read him the part. I said, listen, this part says any documents that state you're impersonating law enforcement. I said then they're allowed to rummage through there, because I said how do you know there's not something in there that there's a document stating that he's a state agency or whatever. And he was like, he made jokes. He said, "Dog, what do you work for, Fiddler?" And I was like, "No, I don't work for Fiddler." I'm like, and the day we met in the meeting, he patted me and Steven down for wires. He pulled us aside and he patted us down.
Okay.
And I was like, "What do you want this for?" And he was like, "I gotta make sure you're not wearing a wire." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "I'm not wearing a wire." And he made us give us our phones and everything, and held everything for us. He thought we were recording him.
Okay. Here's a side note. Side note here. I left my sunglasses. Did he find them?
I heard about that. He told me when he went to the office that you called him and he made a joke. He was like, "Oh, Ramsey said he left his glasses. Supposedly they're Oakley's, and that they have some type of detail on the side." And he mentioned what? Maybe we went to the office next week. He said, "Oh, I can't find the glasses." All of a sudden, he started blaming me, Steven, ASAP, and Joe. He's like, "Oh, which one of y'all took his glasses?" And Joe said, "Oh, well, he left it anyway. So even if Jay took it, it's technically Metro State's property." So,
okay.
And Jay mentioned the other day when I went to the office, he was like, "Did you take his glasses?" I said, "No, I didn't take his glasses. I didn't even know they were here." I said, "You didn't tell us until 2 or 3 days later so he called you. And all of a sudden, that day when he called you, they were missing that day. And you were the only one at the office." And I told him. I said, "You were the first one at the office. And all of a sudden, they're missing and you're blaming me?"
All right. So once he got back and he realized we served the search warrant on his office and he thought we had taken stuff or we had done something, he went back to work just like nothing happened, doing escorts?
Yeah, he went back to work, going like nothing. And he said that Miller stated to him that we are allowed to do escorts. 1 car in the front. If there's more than 50 cars, 10 cars, and there's a patrol car, 10 cars, there's a patrol car, 1 in the rear. And somebody said, "Oh, well, that's not in writing, so how do you know it's true?" And Jay was like, "Well, I don't care. We need to keep our business, and we need to show them that we're still up and running, that they can't stop our business because they're just the sheriff's office. Only the mayor of Orlando can stop the sheriff's office, and they can shut down the business." And that's where the attorney, they called his attorney, put it on speaker, and that was the first time I heard his attorney ever. And he said the sheriff's office could not shut down the business. He said, "If I was you, keep running your escort, keep doing everything as you used to do, maybe change it a little bit, do what he's telling you to do, even though it's not in writing." But he said the sheriff's office could not shut down your business. They can harass you, either they can stop you, tell you you're not allowed to hold green lights, not hold red lights. That's the only thing they can do. But they cannot shut down your business.
Which attorney was this?
I don't know a voice, but I know he was talking to someone. But every time he mentioned, he always mentioned Mike or Amir or Dan. He always mentioned those 2 guys. But the last one he mentioned, and I don't think I have this text. I know he sent out the screenshot for a couple of people, and it was from Mike, and stating that Mike said that you guys are being harassed. Continue doing as you're doing.
Okay. So that was from Mike.
That was from Mike. I remember he sent a text and he sent it out to the supervisor chat. And I think Steven was the one that told me. He's like, "Dog," he's like, "Mike's saying that we can do this." He's like, "Honestly, I think it's a setup because," he says, "right now I can't trust Jay at all because the fact that Jay keeps thinking that we're snitching, meanwhile we're really not." Which at that point we were really scared. And he was like, "Dog, you have nothing to be scared about." He said, "They're coming after me. They don't care about you guys." So he kept thinking that we were snitching, meanwhile we really weren't. So he wouldn't really tell us. But down the supervisor chat, he mentioned Mike's name on that chat.
Now, what funeral homes or what businesses that you work for have stopped using you?
I know Dob stopped using us recently. And he told us, he called everybody on the phone on the group call, and he said Dob stopped using us because they said that the family wants to use Courier, which, and I was like, and I told him, I said, "Well, it's weird." I said, "Because they just used us the other day." And that was the day, that wasn't the day we got messed with. But Dob stopped using us. Steven noticed that Pax Miller stopped using us the day that Miller King withdrew that day. And I guess she noticed. She hasn't been calling anymore. A community funeral home, I think they're using, we were supposed to have escorts on this Saturday. And he sent out a text today. He said all Saturday escorts got canceled. And I was like, "Why is that?" And I called him. I said, "Hey," "why did it get canceled?" He's like, "Oh, because the funeral homes canceled us." And he didn't explain why. He was pissed and he hanged up on me.
Okay.
So obviously the funeral homes are
Just for the record, I want him to know. And Ramsey, I'm going to show you that picture in a minute. Just for the record, anytime Corporal Ramsey or I talk to Jay, we've always explained to him that he's got a great concept. He's got a need in the community. That all we've ever wanted him to do, going back, when I've dealt with him, is to run it legally. Yeah. To get his licenses, get the appropriate insurances, get his workers' comp, pay his taxes, and do the escorts within the law. Yeah. And in compliance with the laws. And in those laws, he has to, get his insurances, get his licenses, get his taxes, just like every other vehicle. Correct. And that's been the goal. Hey, real quick, I just wanted to show you this photograph. Again, I'm showing him a photograph that was sent to me where Victor is out of is in the Tahoe. It's church in the Orange Lawn and Trail. So,
Hey.
yeah. Anyways, and on this particular escort, you were witnessed. This was a couple weeks ago. You were witnessed going the wrong direction on Orange Boston Trail. On the other side of traffic. So anyway, we'll all discuss this. Like I'm outside the road, but it was probably no. Did you receive some citations for that? Yeah. Okay. All right. Anyway, as far as get back to here. There you go. Where was I going to go with it? I know. Oh, as far as the company.
Oh.
That's all we
Yes, we're interviewing him right now.
With state statute. Hey,
You talking about
Go
Victor?
ahead. Go ahead, John.
Victor?
John.
Hold on a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me ask you a couple questions here real quick. Going back to the date of the 16th involving Deputy Mahoney.
Last night and said he wanted to talk.
Yeah.
We're actually doing it now. I'm up in Texas.
Obviously, you were part of this. You actually pulled up to Mahoney and said something to the fact to get out of.
Oh, no, not me. I'm being 100% for my dead grandmother. I was the lead car the whole way.
Right.
And I can probably act my attorney. I don't want to, but I have it on dash cam footage. Okay. I never said anything. I know. Okay. She did. Okay.
And then what was, I know after,
I'll talk to you later today.
Did you see the intersection where the incident happened?
Yeah, where it happened, yeah. Okay. I was coming up. I was in the rear. Actually, I was in the front with him, and that's when Steven said, listen, there was a car coming up, and he's popping in the procession. And I was like, well, what are we doing? He's like, well, stay with the lead car. And I came up to the intersection right on that dead end right where Jay was. And Jay was on this side. I was here. It was a 2-lane, and he was in the middle of the intersection. And I saw the truck coming up, and the truck did rear him, but Jay did, jump at him.
Yeah, what I'm going to get at is I can draw it out for you.
Yeah.
You're familiar with that. Where that intersection happened is what we call like a 4-lane roadway.
Yeah.
There's 2 either east, west, or 2 north, south. The funeral procession was in the left lane going through the intersection. I can show you the video.
When we went to that, we merged over to the left.
Right. Jeremy in his Tahoe, because he was driving Tahoe, was in the right through lane. Was blocking the right through lane.
Yeah, right. He was in the middle, basically. The cars on that side can't make a right because his car's right there.
Right. Or they can't drive.
Yeah, they can't do. Yeah.
You see in the video where he takes off and you can actually drive straight through it. Right. Why does Jeremy have you guys block? If the funeral's in the left lane or the funeral's in the right lane, why do you guys block the other lane?
He said when we go through training 50-50, so if this intersection is a big intersection, and they're going, if we're looking on left, we'll go in the left lane, and we're in the right, so we'll have a unit right here, and then a unit on the outside of the road blocking the whole intersection, basically. He wants to block everything down so the funeral can get through. So if the cars start moving, that's when he's like, listen, once the light cycles, we go, he's like, light cycling, we'll get out the car and put our hands up like that. And the motors will do that. Sometimes when I do it, I get out and I start putting my hands up. And he's like, if a car starts moving toward your direction, tell them to stop because they're going to hit the procession.
And what I'm going is, anytime that you guys get out of the vehicle, you're actually kind of told which we're going to go over state statute. I know you've got to leave soon.
No, it's fine.
But where I'm going with this, the state statute states that, for example, if you're in a right turn lane, or in a through lane and you're turning right, you must turn the curve lane to curve lane. In other words, you must turn into the curve. So if you're going northbound and you're going to turn eastbound, and it's 2 lanes northbound and it's 2 lanes eastbound, that funeral procession, let's say he's in the right lane, making the right entry, and must turn into the right curve lane.
Yeah.
Why do you guys block the people going through the left lane? Or in the left right lane?
He wants to lock down the whole intersection.
He wants to block it off there. Right. He doesn't allow anybody.
Yeah. He doesn't want anybody to move out.
Same thing when a funeral procession is turning left. Like say if a funeral procession is in 2 lanes going southbound, and it's going to make a turn into 2 lanes going eastbound.
Yeah.
Okay. It must go left inside lane to left inside lane. It can't scoot over to the right lane. It must go left inside. And I've seen in many videos where guys are blocked. People are, you won't even let the people turn it right.
Yeah. He won't lie there like that. He tells us, he's like, when we get in there, he says, stop all traffic, no cars are to move at all. And sometimes I've heard the cars beat the horns at me, and I'll look over and I'm like, well, what do I do? I just stand there. Sometimes I will tell them, go right. They're allowed to go right. I've seen some of us that he's like, or even me, and Jay tells us, if we're here in the rear of the rear vehicle and we're at a light and cars are moving up on us, I was like, Jay, there's a car behind me. He's all mad. He's like, well, tell him to go right. And I'm like, yeah, but he's going straight. Well, tell him to go right anyway. That way. Start directing cars that way. All right, are you ready, John?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, Victor. When it comes to your pay, has he ever withheld any taxes out of your check, or told you he was, or anybody else's?
What do you mean, like, in other words, like basically saying we're not paying taxes?
Well, like, let's say he tells you he's got to withhold FICA, or he's got to withhold Social Security, or anything like that.
I never, honestly, I don't even know what those words mean, to be honest. My mom files all my taxes for me. But he's, honestly, every Saturday he just pays us, and that's it. And either you deposit it in your bank or you go to Amazon and cash it.
So when he writes you a check, I'm going to throw just a figure out there. Say a job, you're going to get paid $70 for that job.
Yeah.
He doesn't give you like $65. Say, I have to hold $5 for Social Security or for IRS. Okay, and he doesn't give you any IRS statements or anything like that, or any withhold for FICA or Social Security or federal withhold taxes or anything. And at the end of the year, he doesn't give you a 1099 showing how much you made for his company.
So my mom did mention that. She was like, do you file taxes? I'm like, no. She was like, well, how are you getting paid? I said, well, company checks. And, well, what does he have to write on it? Washing cars or fixing cameras? And she's like, well, if you're cashing into Amazon, all that's getting reported to the IRS. They're going to wonder, why are you getting paid big amounts, but no taxes are being taken out? And she's like, well, if they question you, then that's your fault. You're over there, you're 18, so they do whatever they want. Yeah, so. Go ahead, John.
Okay, so Victor, so if I pull up behind you in my car, and I have an unmarked car, you know that, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I pull up behind you in my unmarked car, which is white, has no markings of the sheriff's office on it, and I turn on my lights and my sirens, what are you going to do?
I've dealt with this in the past.
No. What are you going to do? It's a question.
Like during an escort?
No. You're driving down the road. I pull up behind you.
Oh, I'm going to pull over.
Why would you pull over?
Because it's red and blue light.
And what else?
And I don't know. It's an unmarked vehicle, but the thing is, you don't know if it's a cop or not. But most of the times, if you're in a busy street or in a city area, obviously it's a cop. I would pull over.
So if you hear the siren going, or if I hit my air horn and I turn on those lights, you're gonna pull over?
Yeah.
Okay. And because you're assuming it's a police officer?
Yeah, I would.
Okay. So when you all are doing your escorts, have you ever pulled anybody over? And when I say when I say pull over, do not confuse you telling somebody to get out of a funeral escort. If you direct them in a certain direction, have you ever done that?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Have you ever used your lights and your siren or your horn to do that?
Yes, I have.
And when I say horn, I mean it's the air horn or the modification of the siren that makes a bonking sound, correct?
Bonking. Yeah, basically just the air horn button on the console. It has air horn.
Correct. But there's no air that goes through it. It's just a digital change in the speaker, correct?
Yeah.
And it is louder than what a normal horn is, correct?
Yeah, it's a lot louder. It's a certain amount of decibels. But I know the state law for those, but obviously his is a lot louder than state law because he mounts 2 speakers, and most deputies usually have 1 speaker.
Correct.
But his are a lot louder in vehicles.
Okay, so have you ever used your lights and your sirens or your air horn to pull somebody over?
To pull someone over, if there's a car in front of me during an escort, I'm gonna be honest, I would tell Jay, listen, there's a car in front of me, well, turn your sirens on and tell the car to move over. And I would use the word move over. I wouldn't use pull over. I would use move over. Because Jeremy and other guys would mention, listen, you can't use the word pull over, that's why you use the word move over.
Okay, so
you're still telling the vehicle to move over. You're still impersonating no matter what. No matter what the word you're telling them, just can you get over? You're still activating lights and sirens, and you're still telling the vehicle to get over.
So, and you drive the ghost car, right?
Sometimes I drive the Ghost. Sometimes I drive the Impala. Sometimes I drive the Ring. I drive honestly not whichever car I want.
Okay.
But I drive different cars. You don't have a motorcycle. Oh no. Yeah.
So, I'm going to give you a description of a date, and I'll get more into it. So there was a particular date where you all were doing an escort. You came down Princeton to Mills. At the intersection of Princeton and Mills, turning right or south onto Mills, there was a white Honda in front of you, and you got on the PA. Jeremy had already gone into the intersection on a red light and stopped the traffic. And he was telling people to go, and you needed to get around. You were in the white ghost car, and you told the person on the PA with all your lights on and hitting the air horn, you told them, move over.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay, and do you remember...
sorry.
Do you remember that being Jeremy in the intersection?
Yes, that was Jeremy in the intersection, yes.
Okay, so...
That's another thing. He did mention to me that recently. He said, if the sheriff's office asks you about that day, tell them that the same story that he told you guys, that me and him were across town. And meanwhile, that wasn't Princeton and Mills. That was all the way in OBT, all the way down by somewhere by Tradeport, and it was a Muslim territory because that's when there was 2 Chevy Suburbans, the lead car, and they had thin blue line stickers. Because I remember that road. And that was in one of the videos that was on the news also, where you see me holding the intersection, and Jay comes, well, not the intersection, but the little side streets, the lead cars go, and Jay comes up, and he's like, go, go, go. And you see me kind of struggling to get inside the car, and that's when I'm coming up. He goes past me, gets into the intersection, there's a car in front of me, and he's like, well, move the car. I go in the PA, I'm like, move over, move over.
That was another one.
Oh, that's a whole separate one.
Yeah, that's a whole separate one,
okay.
correct? This is the one where you went to Sanford afterwards. Do you remember going to Sanford after this one? And then that's when he talked to the lady on the phone who called to complain on him?
I heard about the complaint recently, and that's when he said that he's stating that his body cameras record 24 hours. No, they really don't. My body camera goes off as soon as I'm done with the escort. But honestly, I do not remember. Obviously, you do have videos.
Sergeant Vidler, do you have that video right there?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Can you pull it up and let's show him so he can verify?